Alright, if you've listened to the album Brat and Girl So Confusing with Lord, then you know what I'm talking about. This video isn't going to be about, Lord and Charlie XCX's friendship, but I do want to talk about jealousy between women in friendships. And I figured we would just have a cute little crochet coffee chat about jealousy and specifically like how to deal with feeling jealous of one of your own friends, and also dealing with a friend who, you get the impression that they're jealous of you, because that's also, I guess in a way it could be flattering, but it's also a pretty horrible feeling and just very uncomfortable. So I want to talk about how I've dealt with jealousy on my end and then receiving jealousy in friendships and how I recommend dealing with it. So let's get into it. By the way, if you're new here, which you probably are, I'm Carla. I make cultural commentary videos like this, as well as some vlogs about my life abroad and a bit of crochet content because I'm a crafty gal. So if you're interested in any of that, I'm Carla's Calling everywhere, so you can subscribe and join our wholesome little community. And just a little crochet update for my fellow crafty gals. I am on the third flower row of this second panel of the beach cover up I'm making. So that's what we're working on today, and the best tutorial I found for this flower motif is from CX Crochets, I think it was. However, I did add like an extra hole, if you can see. In these like diamonds between the flowers, there's a hole there, and a lot of patterns don't have you add that extra square, they just have you continue to do the double crochets there, but I wanted some extra airflow, That's what we'll be working on while we chat. So just to say, I feel like recently my friendships, my female friendships have been, very, very healthy, and I honestly have no complaints about my friendships right now, and I don't feel any of this, toxicity or confusion around jealousy specifically in my current friendships, which I think is such an amazing thing. And in a way that made it kind of difficult to think of what exactly I want to say about this. But then I was trying to be honest with myself, and I was like, we've all had toxic friendships, we've all had confusing friendships. So I had to like remind myself of times where I've been jealous of a friend, or where I felt like maybe a friend was jealous of me and it was getting in the way of us being close or even ruining a friendship. And, I kind of had to like think of some people who I haven't thought of in a while to channel that feeling. And so I'm really grateful to be in a position where I'm not actually thinking about being jealous of someone or feeling like a friend is jealous of me, because that makes life a lot easier. But again, we've all had those confusing girl friendships that leave you feeling like, is this actually even my friend? Or like, what have I done wrong? Or why do I resent my own friend? And just these horrible, like, annoying feelings. I think part of this comes with age, like I think when you're in middle school, high school, it's much easier to be jealous of your friends because your world is so small and you probably all have very similar goals at that point in your life, like doing well in school, blah, blah, blah. So it makes sense that there's more drama between friends at a younger age. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen in adulthood. Like, again, just look at Charlie XCX and Lord. I couldn't even remember what it was like to have this sort of confusing friendship, and looking back on friendships like that really helped me to be like, oh, this is, I think, how I dealt with it, that was good or bad, or how I would deal with it in the future. So that's what we'll be talking about. So first I want to get into being jealous yourself. Like, you are the jealous one. You are the one making the friendship confusing. So for being jealous and receiving jealousy, I broke these both up into a few different steps that I think you can take to alleviate some of those like really awkward and uncomfortable feelings. And my first suggestion would be to ask questions of your friend that you are jealous of. The reason I say this is because there's truly more to someone's successes or wins than what meets the eye. And this is corny, but you never really know what someone else is going through. And I think instead of resenting that friend and, you know, not wanting to hear about their successes because it's going to make you feel even more jealous, you can actually ask them questions about it and be excited for them. And you might find out things that help you realize that it's not all sunshine and roses, and like this friend doesn't have it all and you don't actually need to be jealous. And now that I'm saying this out loud, it kind of sounds like I'm saying, oh, ask your friends questions so you can find out about, you know, what's going wrong when it comes to their successes, and then you'll feel better about yourself because you can like thrive off the fact that they have issues as well. And that is not at all what I mean. But I do realize that it might sound like that. Also unrelated, but look at my yarn bowl that my friend made me. It is just so handy, like, and it makes such a cute sound. I'm obsessed. Thank you, Ellie. I'm not jealous of you, except for the fact that you're a queen. Ellie, if you listen to this part, comment the bowl emoji. Anyway, that is not at all what I mean by this. What I actually mean is that by opening yourself up to the possibility and quite likely the reality that your friend's life isn't perfect, you are one, able to have a more realistic view of your own life, and you're also able to connect with that friend on a deeper level again, or for the first time if you've always had a sort of like confusing or weird friendship. And I think that's really important, you know, because we all have, you know, that friend who seems like they have all of their stuff together, and maybe at some point you've been jealous of them or resented them for that. And that really gets in the way of you ever being able to feel close again. And I think that's a real shame. I think asking genuine questions and showing genuine curiosity for their whole journey and not just their successes, but also like what's going on in their life apart from the things that make you feel a bit jealous, or if they're having any issues with things that do make you jealous. Like let's say they're killing it at their job, but you don't actually know that they have someone who's kind of bullying them in the office or something like that. Like it helps you grasp reality, because I think when we're envious of someone, we forget that whatever we're jealous of is probably not the whole story. And then we're also like inadvertently putting that person on a pedestal by telling ourselves that their lives are so perfect, when that's just not the case. Another thing I'd say is to also ask yourself questions like, why are you jealous of this person? Because it's most likely coming from you. It's probably not something they did. If they're having a lot of success in their life, like that's not something they're doing to you to make you upset, most likely. So why is it that you're feeling upset? Do you feel like abandoned? Do you feel unaccomplished? Do you feel insecure? And if so, like why? Are there things that you can do to get what they have that can make it so that you're actually focusing on yourself and not on them? Do you actually even want what they have? Like maybe you think you feel jealous of them, but if you dig a bit deeper within yourself, maybe you don't actually even want the thing that you're jealous of. Maybe like there's something else going on. So I think, you know, not only asking them questions, but asking yourself some questions so that you can figure out why you're feeling the way you feel. Because yes, it's normal to feel jealousy, but I think being jealous of a friend to the point where it's ruining your friendship and making it really confusing isn't good, obviously. And finally, when it comes to you yourself being jealous of a friend, I think that if you can't get past it through honesty with both yourself and them, that maybe you need to take a bit of a break. Like maybe you just need to get some distance and figure out how you feel without your judgment being clouded by, you know, the envy that you feel when you're seeing this person live their life, you know? Because those tips might have not worked. Maybe like the friend wasn't responsive to your questions and got defensive and didn't want to open up to you. Or maybe the thing you're jealous of is something that you really do want. Even when you're trying to focus on yourself, you're not able to do that because you're just so jealous. And I think remove yourself in that situation, not only for yourself, but for your friend, because that's not cool to your friend to be like, so jealous of them that you can't, you know, like celebrate their wins with them, and you just have to be like angry and reticent the whole time. Sometimes you might just need a bit of space, and that's a bit sad, but also if that's what it takes to either save the friendship or to just leave a confusing, toxic friendship that you really weren't able to work out through honest conversations, then so be it. So I also want to talk about when you feel a friend is jealous of you, which, and maybe this is a silly thing to say, but I almost feel like this might be a worse feeling than feeling jealous of a friend, because it's definitely a bit more out of your control, but it also might be an easier issue or confusion to clear up. I think when you're not the one feeling the jealousy, it can almost be more confusing, like especially if you really do care about that friendship. It can be like, wait, what? Where did this come from? Why is my friend suddenly like not talking to me as much? Or why don't they care or seem not to care when I tell them about, you know, something exciting that happened in my life? I guess to some people this might seem like the easier position to be in because you're the one winning, but I don't know. I think it's a worse feeling because it's like, I mean, I hate the feeling of being jealous of someone. It makes me feel like icky because I know that it's wrong and I shouldn't like resent someone because of jealousy because they haven't done anything to me. But I think being on the receiving end of it can be a bit painful because it's like, oh, I see you as a close friend and I want to be close to you, and I'm not able to anymore because something's like holding you back, and it's not anything that either of us have like done. It's not a good feeling, but I think that there are some things you can do to try and fix it in a way. And first I would say, like, it's easy to get frustrated in this situation or to just feel like, okay, what is your problem, girl? Like, why are you being so awkward? Or like, why aren't you excited for me? And oh, like, it's not cool that you're jealous of me and I don't want to be your friend anymore. Like, that's really easy to do. And I think it's worth, you know, giving this friend some grace, because we all know what it's like to feel jealous of someone. And we also know that oftentimes when you are jealous of someone, particularly a friend who has not wronged you, it's probably usually a sign that there's something else going on in the jealous person's life that's making them unhappy, or they're dealing with their own insecurities and projecting that onto their friend with jealousy. Like in that Girl So Confusing with Lord verse, Lord says, you know, I've been so in my head and your parties look so cool and I didn't want to be in the pictures. And then Charlie in one of her verses says like, maybe you just want to be me. So she gets the sense that maybe Lord is actually jealous of her or has been jealous of her in the past. But then Charlie also talks about feeling like, oh, maybe Lord just wants to see me falling down and failing. And she's also like explicitly in an interview, I don't remember which one, talked about straight up just being jealous of Lord's success in the 2010s before kind of like realizing and accepting like, you know what, we are completely different artists. We make completely different music. Like I didn't write Royals and that's okay. So it's funny because on one hand, Charlie talks about maybe you just are jealous of me, but we also know for a fact that she has been jealous of Lord, and that, you know, it just makes the whole thing confusing, which is why the song is titled that. I think you can be open with this friend. This is kind of the flip side of ask that person questions if you're jealous of them, because you might be surprised as to what you will find. And, you know, not everyone is going to have the guts to do that right away with a friend that they're jealous of. And I think being on the receiving end of this jealousy, you have the opportunity to sort of like preempt these questions and maybe open up to this friend who you're getting like a weird vibe from about some of the struggles that you're facing, whether they have to do with the thing that they might be jealous of, or if they're, you know, completely separate but still relevant to your life. And I think this can just help your friend to see like, oh, this person's not like obsessed with being perfect. They are human as well. And you can hopefully move on from there with a closer friendship that's not defined by confusing behavior and feelings of jealousy. I think you can also ask this friend some questions as well, like, what are they excited about? What are their dreams? What goals do they want to work towards? Like, how are they feeling? How are they doing? Questions like that, where it can kind of help both of you get to the root of why things have been weird between you two. So like, maybe you just got a new job and this friend you didn't know, but you realize that they actually hate their job and they've been looking for a new one for the past few months and just like haven't talked about it. Or maybe you're in an industry that they've always really wanted to work in, and now that you're working in it, they feel some type of way. I think asking these sorts of questions, like on a basic level, just shows that you care about your friend's life and that you think that their hopes and dreams are as interesting as your successes or just perceived successes, and can help both of you understand like how this person is feeling. And maybe like best case scenario, you can even help your friend achieve these goals that they were too scared to talk about. Or at the very least, you're just like lending an ear to that friend that maybe neither of you even realized that they needed. I tend to be attracted to very goal-oriented and driven people. So to me, like, I genuinely love hearing about my friends' like goals and dreams and plans. And I know that that can probably be overwhelming for some people. Like, don't ask me again, like, how I'm working towards this goal, because maybe I just don't want to talk about it right now. But I think it really opens up room for finding out more about your friend and alleviating any sense of like competition or jealousy, because it's like, we all want each other to win and we all want each other to achieve our wildest dreams. So just like, be open with your friends, and you never know what will happen. And at the very least, you won't have like a weird, confusing friendship because one person is jealous of the other. I would say to not offer unsolicited advice, so don't just go straight from, they're jealous of me, let me give them advice on how to be like me. I would go more the approach of like, okay, I get a sense that maybe they're jealous of me for some reason. I want to find out why. I'm going to ask them some questions. And after those questions, maybe you realize that they have a goal that you can help them with, or if you can't help them, then you can at least, be someone there to cheer them on. And that makes both parties, I think, feel way more comfortable in the friendship, because being jealous of someone is so tiring. It's not fun. And the final thing that I want to say, if you are in a position where you feel a friend is jealous of you, is to not dim your light. Please. It is not worth it. A lot of the advice I'm giving is very much like, take the high road and help this friend, blah, 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 blah. And I stand by that, but I understand that that's not always your responsibility. So if this friend is really toxic, then maybe it's just time to let it go, Like, maybe you don't actually need to be friends. Or at the very least, if their idea of you helping them get past these uncomfortable feelings is by not, being your full self with them, then is that the type of friendship you want to be in? I don't think so. I've definitely been in friendships before where I've actively felt like, oh, I can't tell this person about something good that happened to me because it's going to make them upset, or they're not going to be happy for me and then I'm going to be upset. And just really holding back and, just not having someone to celebrate with. And that's not a nice feeling. And I think if you have a friend who just doesn't want to hear it and they're not like responsive to your questions about their own goals, or they don't even want to hear about some of your struggles, then maybe you also need to take a little time out and just not deal with that, because we're all adults, But do keep like bragging in mind, Are you bragging? Are you telling someone something because it will make them upset, because you want to make them feel a little insecure? Like, if you were celebrating your achievements in front of someone who is jealous of you, is it because you're just trying to like be your best self and share that experience with them, or is it because you want them to feel jealous of you? Like, do keep that in mind. I don't think you should just not tell that friend, because that's not a healthy relationship. but make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And especially, you know, if you found out that that friend who was showing signs of jealousy towards you, maybe you both realize that they're not actually jealous at all and they actually just have something else going on in their own life that's really negatively affecting them and they're taking it out on you. I don't think it's necessarily dimming your light to not talk about your achievements to them, because if they just lost their job and you just got a promotion, like, is that the best moment to talk about it? Probably not, and hopefully you have other people in your life you can talk to. I think, you know, everything's always based very much on the context. You did not just fall out of a coconut tree. I think more often than not, you'll be surprised that a lot of these steps I've given will make your friendship way less confusing, but of course you're always going to have that negative experience where someone just like doesn't care about any of your efforts, they're not responsive to any of it, and they just want to be a hater, and that's not the type of person you need to be friends with. Doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, maybe they're just going through it, but I don't necessarily think it's something that you need to deal with. I think that's all I have to say on that subject. It's an interesting one. I'm glad that I haven't had to deal with like any sort of confusing girl friendships in a while. Probably the last time was a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and it's not nice, but it happens. And there's definitely always a way to work it out on the remix, you know? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. And even if this video helps one person deal with a confusing friendship, then I'll be happy. If you want to see more from me, please do subscribe and like this video if you did like it. And I'm always in the comments chatting to people, so it'd be lovely to hear your thoughts on this topic. But that's all from me. I'm gonna go have a coffee now, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!